I feel that as a citizen, as a human, I feel as though we're all like in flow. And even in that flow, like we're connected.
And in that moment, I remember trying to think, okay, there's something I need to do.
It was just such a mix of emotions. It was just kind of all of life compacted together.
When we start from a place of meaning to understand who people really are, we start to see common threads. A Picture's Worth partners with community members to co-create and share contextualized values and strengths-based stories that build trust and understanding. And we do this by focusing not only on how we gather stories, but how we tell them. We work with journalists and community organizations to bridge divides that have been created by long-standing lopsided media narratives. Media pictures rarely offer the context we need to understand our neighbors, much less our world. So, what if we allowed our story subjects to select the photos they want to represent their stories and their lives?
I think that the most important thing is service. This is where I got that from in my life.
Everything I do is about empowerment. I turn obstacles into opportunities.
I think the first person who sees this is going to say fierce and strong if they see the photo, right? But for me, this photo represents gentleness. It represents wellness. It represents protection.
I have spent decades as a journalist and as a teacher, and what I've seen over and over again is a truth that we rarely talk about. The questions we ask have consequences. So when we change our questions, we can and we do spark narrative change. Traditional media shows up in a community when news happens, and they will ask what went wrong, what's bad, what's the problem here? At A Picture's Worth, we take a different approach. We work alongside and with community members to ask them about their strengths, their hopes, their aspirations, and their values, so that when something does happen in their community, we have some context to wrap around that. And that creates a richer, fuller narrative. Our podcasts are intended to shift the lens to focus on the people, not on the stereotypes that have for too long defined them. Audio stories provide a level of intimacy between the person sharing the story and the person listening to the story. When the person sharing the story is using their own photograph as a guide, they're more likely to open up and trust and share details that build connections.
For somebody that is in my shoes and shoes that, has lived through addiction is a huge, huge accomplishment.
Just like you do everything else in life, things will be hard. But life throws things like that at you. You are in a place where you feel like you want to quit, but I did not quit.
You can't make people care, and I wish we could. But people are not going to care until it happens to them.
A Picture's Worth has worked with community organizations like Her Cincinnati to focus on strong women in their community. We worked with Public Narrative in Chicago to talk about public health, public safety, and public education through the lens of youth story gatherers. And we've worked with journalists throughout the state of Ohio to focus on what Ohioans value. Our methodology is simple. We call it the 3 A's: approach, awareness, and accountability. We found that community people who share their stories really feel seen and represented in the final product, and that builds a lot of trust in general, which is super important as we move forward and try to connect more across divides. For the people who gather the stories, we find that once they've been trained on our methodology, it changes their approach to how they engage with their community members. And finally, for the people who listen to the audio stories, they're finding points of commonality with people they never thought they had anything in common with before. And what that does is it helps to spark a little bit of interest and understanding that might otherwise not have happened. A Picture's Worth was created to illuminate our shared bonds of humanity and to connect people so that we can work toward solving the world's biggest problems the only way we can, together.